Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing a tier list for every single character in Apex Legends as of Season 7. Alright, let's get started. So first off we have Bloodhound. Bloodhound is probably one of my favorite people to play just because his scan comes in handy so often. You're walking into, a huge area getting ready to loot it, use his scan to see if there's any enemies. If you're camping and you want to see if anyone's sneaking up on you, use his scan. You're in the middle of a battle, use his scan, and not only does it tell you their positions, but it also shows you if there's any traps in the area, and you can see an outline of the people that are scanned, so you can see if they're reviving, healing, reloading. You can pretty much see what they're doing. And his ultimate reduces the cooldown of his scan to 8 seconds. You get heat vision and a speed boost, pretty close to Octane's speed boost, so you can just track down your enemies immediately. He's not the best for camping just because his ultimate isn't great. If you're going to be camping, it's better for just like chasing people down. But I still think he's one of the better legends in the game. And he pairs very well with Bangalore because heat vision, Bangalore smoke, works out pretty well. Okay, next we have Caustic. Caustic got a pretty big update. The damage of his gas was increased a little bit from, I'm pretty sure it's 5 to 10 to 6 through 12, something like that. But one of the biggest things about Caustic has been removed. Your enemies no longer get a clouding effect when they're in the gas. That was like one of the biggest things about his gas, besides the damage and the slow effect. That made it so tough to fight in Caustic's gas. It was so disorienting, and you couldn't hit Caustic, even if you were perfectly healthy and weren't that damaged by the gas. So they did remove that, but they increased the damage a bit. I don't really know if Caustic is that great anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, Caustic is still very, very good, but they took away one of my favorite things about him, the disorienting gas. So I'm going to put him in B tier, just because they took away something about him that I really like. Alright, next we have Bangalore. Bangalore has consistently been the jack-of-all-trades legend. She has a very good offensive and zoning ability, which is her ultimate. She has a very good speed ability, which is her passive, and her smoke grenades are useful in so many situations. She can use them to get cover to heal or revive, to get out of fights, to disorient enemies, and if you have a heat scope, it becomes one of the most powerful offensive abilities in the game. Like, you just shoot that smoke grenade in the middle of a fight, and then if you're the only one that has a heat scope, of course, you're going to be the only one who can see through the gas, and you're going to be able to shoot people very, very easily, and they're not going to be able to know where you are. Of course, if there's a Bloodhound, he can see through your gas, but the detonation time of her ultimate was reduced from 8 to 6, so her ultimate will explode much, much faster, which will make her ultimate much more dangerous. It will make people just get out of there much faster. 2 seconds is going to make a pretty big difference with how powerful her ultimate, I think, is. It's not really an ultimate that's meant for killing people, more just a really powerful zoning ultimate, but I feel like it might, you might get a few more kills with it. So I'm going to put her in B tier. Next we have Crypto. Crypto has consistently been getting buffs upon buffs upon buffs. To make him better, because he was not very good when he released. Now you can scan beacons and revive teammates instantly with his drone. You can pick up their banners, but the big pressing issue with Crypto is when you're using his drone, you have no idea if you're, being shot at, there's someone around you, and you can't help your teammates. If your teammates are in a fight and you have your drone, you're using your drone, you can't exactly do anything. You don't have any abilities that are useful in combat, besides his drone. His drone's ultimate can do some damage, but, it's not like you're in a 1v1 or something and you're going to pull out your drone and hope it kills them or something. So he's not very good in combat. And the only way he's really super useful is out of combat, but if he's out of combat, he's pretty much leaving his team in a 2v3. But his drone is very good for, like, just checking out an entire area, kind of like Bloodhound. You're walking into a humongous area, throw out his drone, scan some buildings, and probably one of the best parts about his drone is that you can just leave it hanging up in the air, and it'll keep scanning. So it's very good if you want to camp or something, just kind of leave your drone in the sky above the building, and it'll just scan everything around you, consistently, all the time. Of course, someone could shoot it down, but it has a pretty good amount of hit points. So I'm gonna put Crypto in B tier. He would be in A tier if he just had something that would make him good in like 1v1s, but he doesn't really have anything that... He's not very good alone. He really needs, teammates to be really good. He's just not very good alone. He doesn't have any advantages like, Gibby or Revenant or Wraith. They have abilities that they can use in combat to get an advantage. Crypto can't do that. Next, speaking of Gibby, oh look, we have Gibby. Gibraltar has always been... Okay, no, he hasn't always been good. He used to be very bad, but then he got a bunch of buffs to his bubbles specifically that made him really good. You can heal faster, the bubble goes on for longer, and you can revive faster, which pretty much made Lifeline obsolete. But they nerfed it a bit. When I say nerfed it, I mean they made the bubble from 18 seconds to 11 seconds, so yeah, pretty big change. But he's still very good. His ultimate is not like Bangalore's where it has such a wide area of effect. It's not super powerful for zoning, but if you throw that thing in the middle of a fight, it'll definitely, probably get, a knock. So I'm going to put him in A tier just because... Oh yeah, and did I mention he has the Fortify trait, which reduces his damage, and he has a gun shield, which when he's aiming down sights, puts up a 50 health shield that blocks all incoming damage. It recharges over time, of course. But I think Gibraltar is probably one of the best people for like a 1v1. If there was a 1v1 between Wraith and Gibby, I think Gibby would probably win just because he has his ultimate, his bubble. I mean, his bubble isn't super useful 1v1s, and he has his gun shield specifically. And now we have the newest legend, Horizon. We haven't really had to have a whole lot of time to look at Horizon and how good her abilities are, but I think she's going to be pretty useful. I don't think you're really going to be able to use her tactical like they did in the trailer, like throwing it to a team of enemies and make them float up. I don't really think it's going to work like that. I don't really think it's going to be that useful that way. But I feel like her ultimate is going to be pretty dang powerful. But like I said, we just really have to see. Her passive isn't the best. It's meh. I feel like her tactical is, while good, there's other champions that can kind of do the same thing, like Octane's ultimate especially. So it's good, don't get me wrong. It's very good, especially because she has more charges and gets those charges faster than Octane or Pathfinder or someone else who has a mobility like that ability, or Loba. But I don't think it's as versatile at the same time. I don't think you're going to be able to use it like they did in the trailers, throwing it into a bunch of enemies and making them float up. Her ultimate is going to be useful. I feel like it's going to be very location-based. I don't feel like it's going to be very good in Fragment East or something where there's a bunch of buildings and walls. But, in wide open where there's only like a few rocks and stuff, I feel like it'd be pretty useful. So I feel like she's very situational. Her tactical is only going to be useful in some places where she needs to get up, and so is her ultimate, not going to be super useful in a place that has a bunch of walls. So I'm going to put her in B tier just because she's a bit situational. Next, we have Lifeline. Lifeline has changed a lot from going to having fast heals to being able to open the blue supply bins to being able to revive people without actually having to revive them. When I say that, I mean she doesn't actually have to revive them. She can deploy her drone, and her drone will revive the teammate for you. Sorry, you can probably hear my dog. Yeah, so that's super useful. You have no idea how... I mean, you probably do. It's so frustrating to fight against a Lifeline. Because you can knock somebody, Lifeline will just deploy her, little drone, and she'll just keep fighting. The teammate will be revived. Yeah, won't have a lot of health. But if that Lifeline has a gold backpack, you're done for. You're done for. If you knock somebody, she's just going to deploy her drone to revive them, which also has a shield, by the way, an impenetrable shield. And she can revive 2 teammates at once with the drone, and they're going to come back with more than half their health. It's incredible how powerful she is in battle just because she can use her passive to just revive people so quickly. And like, she can just revive both her teammates at once, and it's so frustrating because then they'll just run off and heal, and you'll just die. Her ultimate is very useful. Got buffed to have more stuff basically and more attachments. So I'm gonna put her in A tier just because how sheer useful she is in the middle of a battle. Maybe as useful or more useful than Gibby, just because not only does she have the healing drone, which I didn't even mention, which isn't super useful in battles. It's kind of more helpful for when you don't have any heals or something. But her passive to revive people in the middle of a battle is so strong. Especially if she has a gold pack back. Okay, next we have Loba. Loba has been getting a couple consistent buffs to her ultimate in particular to make it have a shorter cooldown, and its radius is huge now. It's much bigger. And taking ammo does not take up one of your 2 slots, I guess I could call it. So you can just throw down that ultimate and grab all of the ammo in the entire area without taking up any of the slots, which is amazing. I just started maining Loba. Again, you have no idea how many times we were under fire, trapped in a building or something. We were running out of heals, put down the ultimate, grab a bunch of stuff, and we win the game. She's just so useful, and her tactical is very useful to get into buildings. You can throw them like into windows and stuff because it's so small. Not super useful for like getting out of a fight since it's kind of slow, but she is so incredibly useful just because I just put her ultimate down in an area that looks completely unlooted, and oh my gosh, there's 3 devotions and a turbocharger somewhere. Like, I would have never noticed that if it wasn't for her ultimate. So I'm gonna put her in A tier. Just because it's so dang powerful. I don't feel like it's super powerful, like, if you have a lot of time to loot, it's kind of just a time saver then, and not really much else, not like a lifesaver, it's like a time saver. Well, in the right situation, it is so useful, and so incredibly useful, and even, it's not like Horizon where, in some situations her abilities are just bad. Her abilities are never bad, just sometimes, if they're better. Her abilities are never bad. Sometimes they're just better than they would be in a different situation, if that makes sense. Anyways, now onto Mirage. Mirage is... Every time they buff Mirage, everyone's like, oh yay, Mirage is finally good, and then he's not good, because people learn how to counter him so easily, so I'm gonna put him in C tier. He's still the same, really, as he was before, except now his decoys have health. It's not a shield or anything. They can just be shot a couple times until they disappear. Not really anything big. Mirage is still, when you shoot his decoy, yeah, you learn their location. Bloodhound can do that, Crypto can do that. He can turn invisible for his ultimate and get out of fights. Wraith can do that. It's not really anything special. Oh, he can revive people when he's invisible. And he can respawn people when he's invisible. Crypto can respawn people immediately with his drone. And, Lifeline can revive people, with her drone. He's just really not that special. He's not in D tier like he would be before he got his big buffs a while back. But he's definitely in C tier. Next is Octane. Octane has gotten a couple small buffs over the past few updates. I just gotta adjust my mic. But the biggest one, I think, was his speed boost that made him even faster than he was before. He was already pretty fast. But he got another buff this season, which was, they increased, his passive is to he heals himself slowly without using any meds. They doubled the speed. Instead of taking 200 seconds to fully heal, it takes 100, so they doubled it. He now heals 1 health a second. His jump pad is pretty good. Not very good in buildings, as you could probably guess, but, it recharges in 60 seconds, and it's just, I feel like it's pretty good for, getting up somewhere. Of course, Pathfinder and Horizon can do that, but, for getting up somewhere or just getting away, Horizon's tactical can't, get you out of a fight. So I'm going to put him in B tier, just because he might be in C tier, maybe. If he didn't have this buff, I think he should stay in B tier, though, just because he's even faster than he was before, and now he heals faster. Pathfinder got a pretty big buff, too. Now he's, better. Yeah. Pretty much sums it up. So what happened to Pathfinder is they made his cooldown of his grapple dependent on how far you go with it. And they kind of did that last patch, but it was not very good, and it went up way too quickly, and it was just not very good. But they fixed it this season, so he's much better. His grapple has been fixed. The farther you go, the longer the cooldown will be. Rampart also got a buff. It literally just makes her walls and her turrets rise faster, not really that much. She's not really good for the middle of a battle. She's kind of like Wattson or Caustic. You kind of have to set up a building beforehand for it to really be super useful. I guess her turret is pretty good. I mean, her turret's really good. It's very inaccurate at long range. So, I don't feel like, yeah, that's the thing about her. Her abilities, while good, take such a long time to set up. It just makes her not that great in the middle of a battle, but if you fortify a building beforehand, you know, she's pretty good. And her buff just made her stuff slightly faster to set up. That was the big issue about her. You know, her walls would take like 3.5 seconds to set up, and it was so annoying. Next we have Wattson. Wattson got a small buff this season. Not really something that most people are going to care about. When you run into her fences, instead of taking 10 damage, you now take 15 damage. I think I've run into a Wattson fence like 5 times. They're extremely easy to avoid. Just because, like, you can hear them, you can see them so easily, you can shoot them. I feel like Caustic is much more efficient for, dealing damage. So Wattson is really only, like, to slow down your enemies. If I fortify, a building with Caustic traps, they're probably gonna get out of there, because Caustic gas does a lot of damage. While Wattson's fences don't really do that much damage. You just kind of walk through them. Okay, 15 health, not really that big of a deal. And you can just shoot them, so it doesn't really stop them, it just kind of slows them down. But the big thing is her ultimate, which not only heals you, but also stops grenade spam. So she's probably one of the best campers in the game, just because her ultimate is so dang useful. Next we have Wraith. I don't think Wraith got any big changes. They made her, the way that she runs, they made her hitbox bigger when she runs, because that was a big thing. She was so hard to hit, especially when she was running. So they fixed it, so she's a bit easier to hit when she's running. They said now that they've done that, they might bring back some of her power, like in terms of her abilities and her portal and stuff. But I don't think they really have to bring back, any of her power from like season 2 or 3. I still think she's S tier. They made her a bit easier to hit, but she's still very, very powerful. Yeah, I mean, they made her a bit easier to hit, but that really didn't do much. I mean, she's still very powerful. Her tactical is very good. Her ultimate is very, very, very good. It's just incredible, all the stuff that she could do. She's been nerfed time and time again, but I still think she's very strong. Very strong, yes. Okay, next we have Revenant. I feel like Revenant's usefulness is kind of dependent on the legend he comes in contact with. If he's faced up against a Gibby, he can use his tactical to make the Gibby to make Gibby just as easy as any other champion to shoot down, because his tactical disables his abilities, including his gun shield. If he shoots a Lifeline in the middle of a battle, that Lifeline can't revive her teammates anymore and be annoying. I mean, she can revive her teammates, but she can't use her drone, which is the annoying part. But if she shoots a Caustic or something, if he shoots a Caustic with his tactical, if he shoots, Wattson, still not huge. If he shoots Wraith, that Wraith might be done for. But I still think he's probably in B tier. His ultimate is very, very good. It's a bit situational. It's very good for rescue missions. you put down the ultimate, and then run into the storm to grab your teammate's banner or something, and then when you inevitably die, you just teleport back to the, what's it called, the totem? the totem, yeah, that thing. That Revenant has. So I think he's very useful, a bit situational depending on who he comes in contact with, but I still think he's very good. So that's going to be the tier list. If I had to arrange these guys in order of how useful they are in each tier, I would probably do... That looks about right. Bloodhound is probably at the bottom of A. I'll put Gibby at the bottom of A. Then Loba, then Lifeline. For here, I'd definitely put Crypto... You. Let me think here. I would do that. That seems pretty good. I'd put he's in the bottom of B tier, he's in the top of B tier, and then Mirage, let's see here. He would probably go like top of... Wait a minute. Never mind. That was just a little joke. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. That's my finished tier list. This is really tough because really the way that you play a legend is really based on how good you are with the legend. This, of course, if you have someone who's super skilled who's playing Mirage and the same person plays Wraith, probably going to be better with Wraith, but it all really does depend on how you play them. You could probably use Crypto as an S tier legend if you just used him correctly. This is very subjective, and this is just my opinion, so if you guys think differently, please tell me in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!